All right, wait. Good afternoon, everybody. Apologize for the delay in getting the meeting going, but fortunately, we now have a quorum. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Historic District Commission for December 6, 2021. After a presentation by the applicant, members of the public will be allowed 2 opportunities to speak on the agenda items. The chair will ask if anyone from the public has questions of the applicant in an attempt to understand the project. After questions are closed, the chair will ask if anyone from the public has comments. Members of the public will have up to 3 minutes per person to comment. Comments should be limited to the exterior design of the building and site. Comments will not be allowed as to the interior design or use of the project. Thanks for your participating. We're going to flip-flop the agenda and go right to the final for 251 Spring Street, Plat 7, Lot 27, application to construct an addition on the Hotel Manassas.
Let's put this that.
You can just put it right over there, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. They have plans, everyone.
Yeah,
has a set of plans. Oh, okay, you want to turn it towards, yeah.
Well, it's on the title sheet.
Can we speak up so we all can hear?
You can use the microphone if you hit the button and.
Okay, he just did. I have a little laryngitis, so going through the mask is getting to be a little difficult. We're starting with the final on 251, and that's not the same.
We should have 10/22/2001. Is that the one? Is that the
Right.
version?
Yeah, 1022.
I think what Case is trying to say is, are we going with the final number 1? We're skipping over, which this is the number
We're
1 on
doing
the
the-
agenda.
We're doing item number
Preliminary.
1 under final.
That's the wrong drawing.
The big pardon?
If that's on the final, that's the wrong drawing.
We are doing the final, which should be on the addition headed west on the building.
Yeah.
Not over the basement.
Dated 1022. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 2 applications.
Correct.
One which was the basement scheme built
Right.
over the kitchen wing.
But that's what this one is, the
No,
final.
We're not here yet.
That's what he just called
That one
out.
is,
Right.
No, I didn't. I said the first one,
Okay,
which is the application.
the preliminary.
No, under
Oh,
final.
Yeah, I amended the agenda because they were,
I guess we have 2 agendas.
yeah.
That doesn't help, does it? Okay,
It's this,
sorry.
this version, yes.
Okay.
That's what is on the agenda.
okay, sorry
Right.
about that.
yes, we're here back for the 1022 version. And the big difference with the 1022 is we were asked to look at doing windows on the end of the building that faces or make some adjustment adjustments made it look better. So we added 2 sets of windows, 1 set of windows in the dormer in the main body of the building, and then a set of windows in the dormer
Yeah.
in the stairs. Yep, so we added those windows and those. And our other big charge was to come up with a different railing, because the state historic did not want the crisscross railing. So, the X railings that are on the other part of the building. So they asked us to redesign and come out with a simpler railing, something. So now we have just, the railing is just verticals. And then it has the higher guard, because we have to be up to 42 inches high.
Right.
So it's got the regular low railing, and then the high railing for the extra height protection. And then the third item was to make more of a difference in the connector between the 2 buildings, between the original and the addition, so that it would look more like a break in the hydrant between the 2. So what we did there is, it's all glass, which is done the same way the windows are done on the restaurant, in a more modern style, all together, all glass. So, and it's recessed, and it has a flat roof there. So it's a real break between the look, the roof look of the existing building, flat roof, and again, the gambrel pitched roof of the new addition. So this totally looks different now than this and this. The railings are different and the windows have been added. So those were the 3 things that we were supposed to come back with to discuss.
Any comments? Do you have any?
No, good.
I guess from my perspective, when we're hopefully sensitive to the issue of how this building looks from High Street. And I think I made the comment, go and do your magic to dress it up a little. I guess I'm a little underwhelmed with the 3 windows.
Okay.
I was hoping that there might be something more, a little more architecturally enhancing than just the 3 windows, whether it's a porch of some nature.
Well, we do have a porch right there.
No, I meant on the part where the staircase is.
You can't because of the stair.
Okay.
Do you think there's anything you could do to
Well, I can't
soften that
go
up?
further that way because the pond is there. So I can't come any further forward. So I really can't add a porch
How
at
far,
that point.
how close is the pond?
Oh, it's only about probably 8 feet away, 10 feet away. So if I brought a porch out on the stair part, I would be at the edge of the pond.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do a different shingle pattern or something. I mean, I could do some other. I really can't add another set of, I mean, I could add another set of windows, but they would be half, one here and one here because of the landing.
Yeah.
The stair is zigzagging down here, so I could add another window here and another window there. That would be at the landing heights.
But they wouldn't be in the line.
But
They wouldn't be in the line with the other windows.
no, they would not line up with the other. They would be at the half points of the other.
What is the siding in that location on the staircase?
But it's,
The exterior siding,
it's shingling.
it's shingles also.
Yep. I could carry through these bands that we have like at the porch line.
That
You
might
see where
be,
the porch comes
Yeah.
around? I could continue that band around.
I think that might
And
be.
maybe that would break so that it would look like there's more of a bait and change, I could change the material like we're doing underneath here on that, so it's got the band and the change in the material is the lower, so that the first floor would read like one thing, and then the next two as another.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay, we can do that.
I think so, good idea.
Yeah, we can do that.
So just not.
Yeah, no, so it would look like a bottom and then
Right.
2 floors on top of that. Yep, we can do that.
Just continue.
And it's just that one band, or would there be,
But there's really the one band is what we have.
that's probably all you need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works.
Any comments, other comments?
I think that works.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
So,
I said, I think that works. I think 2 bands would be,
yeah, I agree.
needs to be a little asymmetric.
That would give it 2 different materials too.
Correct.
There would be one material on the lower floor and then the
Shingles
shingles on the
above.
next 2 floors.
I think that would be helpful.
Can you do that?
Okay, yeah, the band.
Any other
No.
inputs or discussion?
No, that was a great Tuesday.
I think they might.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Do you want to see if anyone in the audience has any?
Yeah, sure. Anybody from the audience have a comment?
I just have a question about the wetlands that the addition is going to go on to. Both the Rhode Island DEM map shows that that area is wetland. And just below that is another map, the Fish and Wildlife Wetlands Inventory shows the swamp area just below that area. So, I mean, the previous addition from, the turn of the century, by the time it got torn down, it dipped more than a foot because of the way it sunk into the swampy area. And I mean, I've been overlooking that property for 54 years and have known that valley is very wet. And it's, very, very swampy. So when you mention that pond is a newer thing that the Abrams had built, basically a catch basin. Yeah, it's a catch basin for the water coming down that valley, but the valley and exactly where that addition's gonna come over, it's wet. And it's even wetter now with the, climate change wetness. The valley, every time it rains, you just watch the cataracts of water, running down that valley.
Well, we've actually made improvements called by some of the site clearing down below it to make the water flow better.
Right, which I wondered why that could be cleared, being wetlands. I mean, it had, at one point it had, muskrats living there and all the tree frogs and stuff. So I was curious as to why you could clear designated wetland to help with the water issue. But regardless, the water starts way up the hill.
Yeah.
I mean, I just redid, and I'm next to the Mitchell Cottage, and we just redid a catch basin just this past week, because even 30 feet up from where, that land is, we get so much water infiltration that, we have to put in a large galley to, collect that water. So, how can you build onto wetlands?
Jen, is that a zoning issue?
That's the DEM to,
Pardon?
that's
It's not
for
really the
that's for the DEM to, issue a.
Do they apply to the DEM, or how does DEM know about
That would be up to the applicant.
We will be applying to DEM for drainage. The area where the building is being built is not a wetland, the grass area. It's not, it's been engineered. We'll be submitting engineering plans and geotechnical engineering plans to planning, zoning, and DEM in the months ahead.
it? So
In the months ahead.
Well, for wetlands, any kind of freshwater wetlands, it would need DEM, but they do need to go to zoning.
Yeah, but it's not an HDC issue.
No.
Yes.
To this point, it's interesting, I, the one who asked about kind of softening the back end.
Yeah.
And this is the end of it that comes 8 feet from the pond, and we did put in the windows. I was looking for some more of the architectural effects. However, when you mentioned about the stair and exit coming down so close to the pond, I remember when it was built, it was to collect the overflow. anytime we have a heavy rain, the pond is overflowing.
Well, I'm gonna back you up and just say, we really can't talk about.
Okay, okay,
Or wetland issues on this.
Yeah.
We can only talk about whether it's gonna be pretty from the pond.
Sure.
So that's the only thing we can talk about tonight.
the adding of the stair addition, however, just brought to mind, it's increasing the structure in terms of toward the pond. And so the pond was impacting on the structure coming so close to where the
Well, as I
pond
just said,
was.
I
A kid
can't-
could walk out the door right there.
As I just said, I can't talk about the pond today.
But you did by saying we couldn't put a porch on because it gets too close to the pond.
Yes,
So you are talking about the pond.
okay, I did make that statement, yes. It doesn't exit out that way, it exits out from the side of the stair tower, it comes out this way to the north. It doesn't walk into the pond. So there won't be a problem with that. And there's gonna be fencing that comes right to the end of the building. That will be enclosing the agricultural portion of the property. So there will be a fence that goes right along the end of the building that then encloses where the agricultural portion of the property will be.
Yeah, this project does need to receive, approval from the planning board, from the zoning board, which will also trigger the development plan review process, so it'll go between zoning and planning for about 6 months.
You prepared a statement related to the historic, not, so,
Say again, Pat?
we have a statement.
We have a letter.
Okay, to the HDC,
To the HDC,
okay.
which that may have something to do with it, so.
All right.
Yeah,
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Would you like me to put a copy in the file, so it's on?
Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
All right. In the year 2005, we came before the Block Island HDC because we were planning to renovate our house or business, which is called Mitchell Cottage. The zoning district that we share with our abutters, the Manassas Hotel, is noted in the comprehensive plan as a transition area between commercial and residential use. At the time, we were informed that we would need the approval of both the Block Island and the Rhode Island Historic Commissions for any changes in the structure and materials used in the exterior of our home. The Rhode Island HDC concluded, I quote, "The proposed details of Mitchell Cottage prominent from High Street and Spring Street contribute significantly to the streetscape of the historic district." Years later, the Rhode Island HDC in the Manassas application concluded that the massive doubling of the structure, and I quote, "will not alter the historic appearance from its primary public view based on historic postcards," end quote. Well, we disagree with this conclusion. The view from our inn and that of other numerous high street residences, and most notably, the view of those traveling on High Street, will be forever changed. The Rhode Island HDC based their conclusions on the degree to which the Manassas plan complied with the Secretary of the Interior Standards 9 and 10, which have to do with the rehabilitation of National Registered listed properties. These standards state that the intent of the standards is to assist the long-term preservation of a property's significance through the preservation of historic materials and features, which encompass the interior and exterior of the building, including attached, adjacent, and related new construction. It is our belief that the big box modern motel-like structure being added to the back of the original Manassas will, and this is again language of the Secretary of the Interior, deform the building's historic character and detract from one of the most iconic views in our residential historic district. Thank you.
Thank you for your input.
I just want to emphasize the point that the Rhode Island HDC didn't come over to view, it used postcards to look at how the view of the Manassas would change. That's the front of the building. The building is very much present on High Street, as we were informed in redoing our place. We had to make sure that the view from High Street and Spring Street, and we were commended that what we did to the house was in conformance. We attempted to put a shed dormer on the house when we were redoing the whole exterior to enlarge a room on the third floor. This was disallowed, and we have the letter because of its view from Spring Street and High Street. So anything that says that the view shed from High Street is not important, or we have to, or the priority is from Spring Street, I think that's a fault. Anyone who travels up High Street can see the back currently of the Manassas, and what they will see is the back as it exists here, the three windows, etc. So that was a main point of disagreement, and we have all of our letters from the HDC, which we had to comply with. The other thing was materials. When we went to use AZAC material to do the trim, which we were going to have done by a carpenter, just because it was in keeping, we had a copy of the old one. That was fine, but we still had to submit a request to do that in AZAC, which thank God they did agree to. But it was we coming into doing a historic renovation didn't realize how precise materials have to be in doing a historic one. So therefore, there was nothing that HDC Rhode Island said about materials or different effects that were being used, as we had to look at prior to getting a permit from the HDC in Rhode Island. What were we gonna do? No dormer, yes AZAC, windows had to be a certain dimension. So there was a lot of precision that we placed that I don't feel has really, in looking at this doubling of the space of the Manassas in this iconic historic structure, has really had to face.
Well, many of the same requirements are in place today as far as materials are concerned. So, but I understand your other point, and I think it might be appropriate to ask the Rhode Island Historic District Commission to come down on site and review this proposal on site.
If you remember, they commended us in their letter.
Let me finish. I understand. I remember the letter.
Can you just push your button so that we might stay on the here?
It's on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a significant move that we're approving or going to approve here. And so I just think it would be appropriate to have them relook this project.
If they will not do a site visit, would you like them to just review the plans, or do you?
They've received the whole 1022 set.
To give us a report on their review.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you did approve citing and massing with the exception of
Yeah.
this, the railings, the stairs, and that, right?
So what's the appropriate action then?
Giving the applicant some guidance, which I think they have, on the three things that he, just described.
Yeah.
And then, the applicant would still need to come back for final with all the details of the specifications.
Materials.
Right, that's required. But the full siting and massing would be completed.
Yeah.
Once you agree on the details.
Well, haven't we given them?
We've already given approval on the
Yeah.
project.
You're looking, right.
Huh?
Yeah, this is what we wanted to say.
What we said today too, with the bottom floor being
Right,
different and then
Yeah.
a band.
yeah. Include that in the change.
So they could come back with those changes. I mean,
Okay.
you've already approved siting and massing, so they could move to the zoning board and then work on the final details.
Okay. Yes,
Can I speak?
what?
Is it all right if I
Yes.
speak at this point? Then
Yes, sure.
the point in what HDC Rhode Island approved was based on primarily the fact that they didn't like where it was originally situated because of the view from Spring Street. I would be very pleased if they would agree, as they did when we were doing our building. They came out to see how it was progressing, whether we were following all of the particulars that they wanted. And we're a very small entity compared to the Manassas. In the 15 years since they were here in our house, if they used postcards, that's what they said they used, to understand the sighting of travelers, tourists, a lot has happened, particularly in the area of landscaping. There are huge trees which have grown up and have a very different view of the Manassas from the front. Postcards don't generally give you the back view. So therefore, it would please us if they would come and do.
Well, that's what we've asked for, Pat.
We're gonna ask them,
Oh, good.
but with COVID and everything, they may
Yeah.
decline, and they're
Sure.
not obligated to, so.
Right, because this is not a tax credit application, so they're not gonna come out and make a site visit. They came for yours because yours was a tax credit
Yes, it was.
application. This is not a tax credit application, so they will not make a site visit to look at it.
And that's,
Well, we can
Yeah,
ask.
we'll
can ask.
ask, but I know when I emailed them, I got a response that several people were working from home and,
Yes,
so, you know, they may not feel comfortable, so it'll be up to them.
So the action now is for you to come back with the revised plans as we discussed. In the meantime, we'll get a hold of the, communicate with the Rhode Island Historic District.
we can't approve what they just asked for.
No,
But they can move on to zoning and planning, because we've already approved the massing.
I'm sorry, they can move on.
I'm asking Jen, they can keep going forward, though. We're not stopping them until January.
Correct.
Okay,
They have siting and massing approval, you're still working out the details on the one elevation, right?
but they can still keep going in the
They can
process.
make application too, yes, yep.
And do they have to come back to us with the details now?
Yes,
Okay,
of that elevation, and then they'll come back with the full final.
with the full set.
Plan details, once you agree to the citing this elevation.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not sure which elevation it is.
Okay, thanks.
West.
West, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to briefly state for the record, if I may. On August 30th, I took the HDC's direction and reached out to Pat Doyle to speak with her about what that west elevation should look like. Pat never responded to me.
My husband, I have the letter, I have your letter.
I didn't get it. If I got it, if you guys sent it, I'd love another copy because I'm happy to sit down and look at that west elevation. But I did do what the commission asked and I didn't get a response from you. So if, I'm happy, on August 30th, I sent a letter to you via email stating that we're happy to sit down and talk about this west elevation, what you would like to see there. There was never a response. So we're still willing to sit down and see what you would like there. And hopefully we can do that before the next meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Blake. All right, now we will move back to the preliminary for plot 7, lot 67 on High Street. The Hyde application to expand the doorway in addition to the Sheffield house.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So just to correct that a little bit, we're not here to expand a doorway. It's actually a doorway that is historically there during some sort of renovation that may have taken place. It's hard to say when. I'm estimating that it took place in the 80s for the purpose of relocating the kitchen downstairs from the southwestern part of the rear of the house to the northwestern corner of the house. And in doing that, they closed off a doorway that if you're looking at the Sheffield house, to follow the wraparound porch back, and there's a doorway there. That is, the kitchen is located behind there. So somebody closed that off for the purpose of putting in countertops and cabinetry and so forth. So our hope would be to do two things simultaneously. One is to make an addition onto the rear of the Sheffield house on that northwest corner. And that addition would essentially duplicate a structure that is also located at the rear of the house. Same dimensions, same roof line, same everything, which is now our rear entry, which was once a coal bin at the Sheffield house. And so that's our access to the rear of the house. It's a structure 9 foot by 9'6" and 11 feet 7 inches tall. So essentially, we're taking that same structure, and our hope is to then locate that onto the northwest corner of the property, duplicating that rear thing. That rear structure, we believe, creates some very nice symmetry in the back, right? You have two pieces, two little structures off the back of the property there. None of this is visible from High Street. So at our last meeting, we were asked to redo some drawings. So I included 3 drawn elevations, west, south facing, and north facing. And hopefully you have those in your packets, as well as a photograph with sort of a rudimentary hand-drawn sort of image of what that would look like if it were added on to the back. So in doing so, we would be doing a couple of things. One would be creating this addition. Number 2 would be opening that I call it the historic door, for the purpose. Right now, if someone is cooking back there and has a flare up on a frying pan, now I don't know, you throw it out the window or run into the body of the house. So I think it's an added layer of safety just to have a doorway there for an additional egress out of the building, out of the kitchen area. And of course, this was once a seasonal business for us. The Sheffield house has become our home. We would like very much to expand the kitchen just for the purposes of, it's a very tiny sort of galley kitchen there that is sorely in need of some updating. but these drawings that I've supplied to you reflect absolute duplication, except for windows and so forth. But as far as the dimensions are concerned, materials being used and so forth, it's a absolute duplicate of what is currently existing there.
Good, looks good.
If I remember correctly, I think the only major issues in the drawings just were, it was peaked. With the big valley between the house and the peak. I remember that was one of the issues in the drawings, which is corrected.
Yeah.
Everything looks identical to the other addition. And it's also on the back side of the building, really not interrupting any view to anyone. And I have it on Google Earth. I mean, I don't even think really it affects any of your neighbors.
Is the roof
Seems to be
line in
tucked
line with the side of the house, or does it protrude beyond the?
Do you want to look at these photos?
Let's see.
a little bit past.
So it'll be the same on this side.
It's like a not 9 feet, is that you're going out 9 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I've seen,
Yeah. It's from last week.
essentially, it's just a twin.
Yeah.
On the other side.
And it's a, okay.
I wasn't here for that first meeting, so.
As I recall, those were really the only issues, was just cleaning up the drawings just to represent
Sure.
with accuracy that it was in fact a twin of the other addition rather, I'm sorry.
Roof line.
And the roof line correction in the plans. So that it was on record. Correctly.
No, you're correct.
And again, they have to go to the zoning board for the expansion of the non-conforming use.
Right.
So if you approve citing and massing, if you had any question about final details, they can come back with any of those.
So this is approval of siding and massing.
Yes. But you do have window specifications, and the details are on the plans, so they're using materials, so that's up to you.
And these, just to note, this window is an awning style window that is during our last go round with the HDC last year. We are using, because it was located in a bathroom, we wanted some additional privacy while at the same time allowing for ventilation and so forth. So these are awning windows, which were previously used on our other area. So that window was approved just for the other purpose, for what that's worth.
And on the existing, what is the existing bump out has doors, is that right?
That's a rear entry that's facing on there. That's facing west. We're not going to have any kind of doorway on there. We're just going to be installing two windows, one on the west facing and one on the south facing.
So I'm confused. Are we approving just siding and massing, or?
Could we
That's
do,
up to you.
could we do the
On
whole?
for citing and massing,
We could give them final though.
that's up to you. Yeah.
That's up to us.
But do we have the information to do that?
I don't see the specifications for the awning window.
Yeah, it's the last page.
The last page, or next to last page.
There are no specifications for the window, right?
Yes.
Well, I don't have that.
That's the only one. I don't know about the windows in the existing structure. Right, you're not using the same window in both structures,
Correct.
so I don't see the ones for the other. part of it.
I'd like to have a motion for siding and mass approval for siding and massing for this project.
Second,
Second.
Pardon?
Are you making the motion?
No, you want to do it?
Oh,
I wasn't here
sure.
first.
I'll make a motion for citing and massing of the Sheffield House located, Plat 7, Lot 67 High Street, to expand doorway and in addition to the Sheffield House. Facts and findings, this will be a twin to an already existing bump out to the rear of the building with no view from the road. And at this point, with no objection from any neighbors, we believe not to have any impact on any other views. I put forth the motion to pass.
Buildings in the historic district. Any other additions?
So,
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
That way we can get you moving the zone.
Excellent. Thank you, folks.
I don't think we're finished the minutes from the last meeting, so, let's start on the meeting.
Huh? You know, he's on the meeting. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second?
second,
So
Aye.
moved.
I
Adjourn.
already.
Yes,
Yeah.
aye.
So moved.
So moved.
Sorry about that. I'll try to text you. I have this- Yes.